Hey everybody, AC here, and welcome to the finale of my Sonic timeline theory. And, yeah, I did not get a whole lot right as far as my initial theory goes. But I'm just gonna go through. I have the official Sonic timeline right now, right in front of me, so I'm going to just take a look at the order that they have the game set in, and just see how well it matches up. It doesn't match up very well, but I'm hoping that I got at least a third of them right. A third of the placements correct. So Sonic 1, Sonic 1, Sonic CD, Sonic 2, so it doesn't mention Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, the arcade game, which is unfortunate. Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Yep. Sonic Mania Plus. Yep. And Sonic and Knuckles. Sonic Mania. Wait, where does Sonic Generations tie in for Classic Sonic? It doesn't say anything about that. So Sonic Mania Plus, and then the Classic Sonic stages in Sonic Forces. So there's no talk about there's no talk at all about Sonic Generations here. So, Sonic Superstars, then Sonic the Hedgehog 4, Episode 1, 2 in Metal, Sonic Adventure, Sonic Shuffle apparently happens after Sonic Adventure, which makes no sense, because Sonic Shuffle's story is like the most bizarre thing imaginable and connects to absolutely nothing. So how do you put that in the timeline? How the heck do you put that in the timeline? Then Sonic Adventure 2, the Sonic Advanced trilogy. They have the Sonic Advanced trilogy happening. Yeah, I had that too. The Sonic Advance trilogy happening after Sonic Adventure 2, before Sonic Heroes. And then after Sonic Heroes, it's Shadow the Hedgehog. Then Sonic Battle. Yeah, I had that happen too. Oh no, they had Sonic Advance 1 and 2 happen before Sonic Heroes. And then they have Sonic Advance 3 happening. They have Sonic Advance 3 happening after Sonic Battle, for some reason. Okay, so then it's Sonic Rush, then Sonic 06. What about Sonic Rush Adventure? That also doesn't make... That makes no sense, having Sonic 06 happen, because we see Blaze and Sonic like on screen together a few times throughout Sonic 06. Never once do they acknowledge each other's existence. They became friends at the end of Sonic Rush. So Sonic interacts with everyone in Sonic 06. He has a different interaction with everybody, except for Blaze. Blaze is the only character in the whole game he doesn't interact with at all. So that makes no sense. It makes more sense if Sonic if Sonic 06 came before Sonic Rush, because, everybody's memories gets erased of it. So Blaze and Sonic wouldn't actually remember meeting each other there. And so they'd actually have another chance to meet for the first time in Sonic Rush. So that makes no sense. Then Sonic Riders, and then Sonic Rush Adventure. Okay, that makes no sense. Okay, that absolutely makes no sense. See, if we when Blaze seals Iblis inside her, she seals herself inside another dimension. And where do we see her at the start of Sonic Rush? In another dimension. So it only makes sense if that's the dimension she was sent to after sealing Iblis within her. And then she became the guardian of the Soul Emeralds. But having Rush Adventure happen after 06, so basically Blaze's timeline goes as follows. According to Sega, Blaze's timeline goes as follows. She starts off in an alternate dimension, travels to our dimension, to the future of Sonic's dimension, spends several years there, completely forgetting about her duty as the guardian of the Soul Emeralds, and flirts with Silver a lot, seals Iblis inside her, seals Iblis inside her. Like, she has her blazing form, which is a combination of her Iblis powers and the Soul Emeralds combining inside her. So she somehow has Iblis's power inside her before she ever meets Silver and Iblis. And then after that, after sealing Iblis inside her, she gets sent back to her world. And then Sonic comes to her dimension and has now met her twice for the first time. He meets her for the first time once in Sonic Rush, and then meets her again for the first time in Sonic 06. Oh, this makes no sense. It makes no sense doing it that way. It really doesn't. It only makes sense if you have the Sonic Rush games happen before Sonic 06. That makes sense. Like, the way they're doing it here makes zero sense. Then it's Sonic Riders 2. Then it's World Adventure. Then it's Sonic Colors. Okay, what about Sonic Free Riders? Because Free Riders continues the story of Sonic Riders 2. So, Sonic Colors, and then Sonic X Shadow Generations. So again, like, when does Sonic Generations take place for classic Sonic? It doesn't explain that. This timeline does not explain that. Okay, it says that Free Riders happens after Sonic X Shadow Generations, but we know that that's not the case because Sonic Lost World happens directly after Sonic Generations. Like, when it came time for Colors, Generations, Lost World, and Forces, those 4 games are just interconnected. We know they're interconnected because each story leads into the next. Each one's story leads into the next, and each subsequent story makes references to the previous one. So we know they have to take place back to back to back to back. And they're just throwing Free Riders in here when it doesn't fit. Okay, so Lost World comes after that. Then Sonic Team Racing. Okay. Then Sonic Forces. Then Sonic Frontiers. And that's it. It doesn't even reference the Boom games and where that takes place, even though we know that the Boom games have to, the Boom games and the Boom Show and Sonic Prime, all of those have to be canon. They have to be, because we hear so many references to those games in Sonic Generations and Sonic Forces and Sonic Frontiers. Like, those three games are like the single most important games in the franchise, because we get so much insight as to what characters are real, what characters are canon to the series. Styx is referenced in Sonic Frontiers, so we know that the Boom franchise has to be canon, and we know that the Prime series has to be canon because the creators and Sega have expressly stated that the show is canon. But they don't tell us where any of that stuff takes place. I feel like this timeline really does not add up. Like, lore-wise, it gives a lot of information. Like, Dark Gaia, the battle between Dark Gaia and Light Gaia created the Earth, and then the ancients landed on Earth, and then they discovered the Gaia temples, and then there was the Babylons, the ancient race of Babylons, that was left over after the ancients disappeared. And the Echidna tribe, the Echidna tribe, and the Black Arms, and just, it talks about all this different stuff lore wise. That's really cool, and it's really nice to have a timeline for the lore, but the timeline of games that they've got set up does not make sense in certain areas. Now, the parts that do make sense is basically exactly as I put it down. Like, my theory was actually a lot closer than I expected. There's a few spots that just don't make sense to me, because, like, we know Ray and Mighty have to be canon because they show up in Sonic Mania Plus. So we know that we know this isn't the first time Sonic is meeting them. He has to have met them before now. Not to mention he has to be aware of who Team Chaotix is prior to Sonic Heroes. He has to be aware of who they are prior to Sonic Heroes, which means Knuckles Chaotix also has to be canon, since it's the only other time we get to see the Chaotix prior to Heroes. So, and then just all the other stuff I mentioned throughout this whole thing. Like, there's like a good 5 or 6 things in here that are like really inconsistent, that don't make sense from a timeline perspective. So I think this could be better. I think this timeline absolutely could be better. Do I think that it has to be what I suggested? No. I'm sure there's a much better way to put all of these games in a cohesive timeline that makes more sense, not just from a game standpoint, but from a lore standpoint as well. Like, I'm sure someone will come along that will, like, take every single one of the games that I listed in my theory and put them together in a much more cohesive and understandable way, with lore attached to why these games have to take place in this specific order. I'm sure that's going to happen, if it hasn't already. But as far as the official Sonic timeline, I don't think it's that good. I don't think it's that good. Like, the stuff that we again, there's only like 5 or 6 things that I disagree with. Everything else, I was pretty spot on with everything else. But yeah, those inconsistencies. Yeah, I think that they could really fix that. Also, they didn't even bring up Sonic Rumble or Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. They didn't bring either of those games up. So, or the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. I love that game. So, they never brought any of those games up. So, I would love to see what they think about all that stuff. But anyway, that's it. That's all I really got. I just wanted to briefly look at like the timeline, the official timeline, and see what stuff doesn't make sense. See what stuff doesn't make sense, and see how what my timeline looks like compared to the official. So anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all the good jazz, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.